An easy way to dig the immense impressions that the Battletech universe might make on an open mind is to employ one's imagination in the absorption of some otherwise iconic dramas. On their own, most respective scenes are interesting. Wading through the juxtaposition of two such scenes played against each other might prove beautiful in a dolorous sense. So here's a feature experiment: is the recital from Michael A. Stackpole's Warrior on Garde, played against the one time that Lynx piloted a Timberwolf A with the support of a refit truck against an entire fortified base located on the edge of Yokohama. Solar 7, the game world. Lyran Commonwealth, 20th of February, 3027. The announcer's voice, tinged with excitement, again filled the arena in Justin's narrow helmet. We've just received word that the Baron von Summer has issued an invitation for the victor to come to his private office after the battle, Justin heard him say. Wolfson's Hermes turned towards Lestrad's box and saluted, and Justin's mech followed suit, though its pilot performed the action without thought. He knows. He must know the fight has been rigged. Justin chuckled to himself. Billy Wolfson is in for a rude shock. Let the game begin. The Hermes immediately triggered a burst of autocannon fire that raked across the Vindicator, blasting small craters into the torso armor. Justin jerked his mech to the right and dropped to one knee as the Hermes laser sliced through the air, splintered against the windows of the arena. Justin popped open the alarm compartment in the Vindicator's chest and launched a flight of 5 missiles at the Hermes. Wolfson quickly moved his mech to the left, keeping the PPC out of line, evading all but one of the missiles. The one that hit peeled back some armor on the Hermes' left leg, while the other missiles exploded against the protective screen. Concentrate, Justin. You can't afford any sloppy shots. He darted a quick glance at the prosthesis and assured himself that the cable had not broken free. Wolfson thinks this fight is fixed. Use it against him. Wolfson's return shots from both the autocannons and the medium laser slammed into the Vindicator's chest. Autocannon rounds smashed into Justin's armor, tearing divots from it. The laser, firing on the same targeted spot, cauterized the autocannon wounds and melted them into ugly scars. The Hermes followed up its shot and closed the gap between the two mechs. Justin continued to circle his Vindicator to the right, then stopped and pivoted on his left foot and to swing around and lunge at the Hermes with his PPC. His right index finger tightened up on the trigger, and his middle finger jerked the trigger for the medium laser. The heat monitors in the cockpit blazed from green into the red zone, but Justin ignored the computer's keening complaints about excess heat. The Hermes, moving on, strolled directly into his fire zone. The laser stitched a stuttering line across the Hermes' eyes, and the mech jerked as Wolfson reacted to the blinding scarlet light. The beam itself did little more than melt the outer layer of the pilot's canopy, but the shot distracted Wolfson from the need to turn and face the Vindicator's attack. An azure whip of pure energy lashed out at the Hermes. The PPC's beam stabbed at the Hermes' left arm and ripped armor from the flamer with the ease of a cyclone tearing shingles from a roof. The beam caressed the Hermes for less than 3 terrible seconds, but that was enough to strip all but the barest of armor from the smaller mech's fearsome weapon. Suddenly, the flamethrower became a bomb strapped to the side of the Hermes, and Wolfson's quick turn showed that he realized the outcome of the fight was not fixed after all. As Justin's Vindicator moved towards the Hermes, Wolfson brought his mech right arm up and triggered a blast of laser fire to hold him back. The ruby energy beam bubbled a blade of armor off the Vindicator's torso, but failed to penetrate further into the mech's working parts. When it did nothing to slow the Vindicator's advance, Wolfson began to sprint his mech off across the arena. Justin hit his jump jets and launched a flight of LRMs, aiming the missiles deliberately wide and to the right of the Hermes. They exploded in a line of flaming geysers and brought the Hermes up short while the Vindicator soared above it and almost grazed the arena's mesh roof. Justin grounded the Vindicator to the left of the Hermes. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, Wolfson. Sweat poured down Justin's face and tasted salty on his lips. Ahead of him, the Hermes turned. Its medium laser fired a red bolt of energy, while its autocannon boomed out a staccato accompaniment to the rain of metal it spat out. The autocannon slugs plucked away at the armor on the Vindicator's left leg and dotted it with jagged gashes. The laser drilled into the armor on the Vindicator's center torso and burned away the last of it. Enough of the laser fire had penetrated the armor to burn into the heart of the Vindicator. Justin cursed as the red light ignited on his control board. The last of the laser's energy had damaged his mech gyro stabilizers and would force me to concentrate more on each little motion or get spilled to the ground. He slapped the heat override control and sneered, "This ends now." Missiles arched from the Vindicator and smashed into the enemy's left side. The missiles exploded into brilliant orange fireballs, and the enemies staggered as armor plates ripped free. Before the armies could recover, the blue whiplash of Justin's PPC scourged the newly opened wounds. The little armor the missiles had spared, the particle beam evaporated into metal steam. Metal slag coursed down the enemy's front, but the beam had failed to bore into the mech's internal structures. The Vindicator's laser flashed to life and stabbed into the other mech's left arm. It vaporized the remaining armor and shredded the flamethrower's mechanism. The beam sliced up into the enemy's armpit and baked the shoulder actuator. The left arm, locked in a slightly forward position, smoldered and began to leak flamer fuel. Justin cleared a tight beam channel to his opponent. "Wolfson, your flamer's leaking. Bail out now." Justin could almost feel the fear coming through the radio link, but Wolfson's word belied it. "Can't. Got a $100,000 credit bond against surrender. You ain't getting that from me." Justin shook his head, and droplets of sweat ran down his narrow helmet's viewplate. "Damn it, you idiot! I don't want it. Get out!" "Go to hell, you Kaplan bastard." The Hermes raised its right arm. The laser and the autocannon both came to life as Wolfson attempted the impossible feat of exchanging shots with a mech that outgunned him. The laser cut flecks of armor from the Vindicator's PPC, and the autocannon shredded the armor on the mech's right leg, but neither shot did enough damage to take the Vindicator down. Justin's flight of missiles sent 3 explosive charges into the enemy's right leg, blasting twisted sheets of armor from the thigh. The laser burned into the same limb, excising even greater hunks of armor from the thigh. Neither attack damaged the limb, but that hardly mattered as the PPC flared to life. The PPC's azure beam drilled through the melted armor on the enemy's right breast. As the artificial lightning bolt ate into the mech, blue fire burst from the muzzle of Ernie's autocannon, and a dull explosion belched a black column of smoke from the hole on the mech's chest. Sparks flashed within the oily haze, and the Hermes seemed to fold in upon itself. Suddenly, Wolfson jerked his mech upright and charged. As the Hermes lurched forward, it accelerated to 97 kph, living up to its name. Wolfson held the mech's right arm wide and came in for a tackle. His laser flared to life at the last second, but the beam cut wide of its intended mark. Justin's Vindicator ducked under the Hermes' outstretched arm and buried its left fist into the other mech's flank. The giant analog of Justin's own metal hand crushed internal circuitry and came away with wires and the autocannon's ammo chain trailing on it. His medium laser, hastily aimed, sought yet more armor from the Hermes' left thigh. Wolfson spun his Hermes on his right foot and tried to kick back at the Vindicator with his left leg. He failed because Justin's punch to the Hermes' middle had crushed part of the gyro housing. The Hermes merely spun to the ground. It landed hard on his left shoulder and ruptured the flamer fuel tanks. Even as the wounded mech settled onto its back, the vicious liquid whipped over its torso. The small laser on the Vindicator's left arm struck like a neon scarlet viper. The coruscating energy stream ignited the flamer fuel, sending a huge white-yellow tongue of flame licking up to the arena's roof. The fire snapped and crackled in Justin's ears, but did nothing to mask the screams and applause of the spectators. The Hermes faceplate blew upward. Wolfson hit his eject button, and the command chair exploded out of his mech's head, spinning into the conflagration. Almost instantly, the chair's gyros kicked in the escape rockets and jetted the chair out of the danger zone. Singed and smoking, Wolfson's chair landed at the Vindicator's feet. The Vindicator squatted over the ejected pilot. Wolfson scrambled to free himself of the command chair, but the Vindicator dropped its hand over the chair and encased it in a cage of fingers. Within his cockpit, Justin reached out his right hand to dial his directional mic in at Wolfson. "Next time you call me bastard, little man, you better win. Otherwise, I'll kill you for it." Yeah, Chapter 18. Chapter 18, off of Michael A. Stackpole's Warrior on Garde. I maintain does a lot to illustrate the ferocity, the potential that even the slightest encounter boasts, as it were. We see Lynx utterly trouncing opponents in this match, but a lot of the work is being done by heavy ultra autocannons. The Vindicator, while a beautiful mech, probably wouldn't be able to fire a single heavy ultra autocannon without being knocked over backwards, I want to say. But, again, that's the beauty of it. That's where a lot of the personality to these machines come into play. Why the catapult is so staunch and beautiful and aptly named at that. And yet, surprisingly bird-like. Inspiring and cool as hell. Yeah, so there's music playing. I can't remember when we recorded it, but it's a super long time ago. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the match. It's basically over. Don't know if we'll record, if we'll go back and do this mission. We probably will, because this was just kind of fun to record, and I wanted to see what it would look like being completed. It's a perfect waste. What the hell are the other pilots doing? Where's a skater? I want to know that.
Mission objective complete. Mission successful.
No problem, sir.
Commendation for no drop weight.
Oh man, great job on the video, me. Welcome to Port Arthur, everyone.